Discovering Asian dramas back in 2018 was an enlightening moment for me, and I've never looked back. I enjoy talking about them just as much as watching them. So much so that I decided to create a podcast to chat everything from Chinese to Korean, Japanese to Thai, and everything in between. Welcome to the Tea and Soju Asian Drama Podcast, your one-stop shop for everything Asian drama. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Tea and Soju Asian Drama Podcast. I'm Liliana, your host, and today's episode is a bit of a wild one. Let me explain. So basically, this was going to be my first review episode of a drama, and I had that all scripted out and ready to go, but yesterday I finished up Love Between Fairy and Devil. And basically this drama, it arrived, it saw, and it conquered me completely. And actually taking into account that before going into this drama, I didn't even enjoy the main leads, Wang Hedi and Yu Su-shin, that much. Basically, this drama has been a wild ride, to say the least. So with all of that being said, and having finished this drama basically only yesterday, I had emotions and feelings, and basically I just wanted to share them so much that I swapped gears and basically decided Love Between Fairy and Devil was going to be my first ever review on the podcast. So here we are. That's what's going to happen today. So this now being my first review, I just quickly want to run through how most of my review episodes will work, but also I just want to add a little disclaimer here. So basically, I don't know Chinese or Korean or any Asian language at all. I am working to learn them. So my pronunciation may be butchered, but I am trying. So we'll just see how it goes. And hopefully, I'm hoping that throughout doing the podcast and doing more episodes that I'll just start to improve on pronunciation. But if there's ever anything that you're not sure about who I was mentioning or anything like that at all, feel free to drop me a DM anywhere on my socials, and I'll be more than happy to get a conversation going. So normally I would have sat with a drama for quite a while, in some cases for over a year, which actually means that I wouldn't be, how to explain it? I would remember most of the bigger scenes, but I would probably forget a lot of the finer details that make up the work of the drama as a whole. But with this one, it's slightly different, because with older dramas that I'll be reviewing on the podcast, I wouldn't even think in my wildest dreams that I would be doing a podcast. So I may not pay particular attention to all things such as maybe directing or how something is shot. However, what's special with this drama, it's the first review I will do where I actually paid extra attention to scenes and wrote them down. So this episode will work slightly different to my other reviews. I will run through the characters and actors as well as writer and director. I would then normally move on to what I liked and disliked about the drama. However, in this review, I will just move on to moments and quotes from episodes that really marked me, the scenes that throughout 36 episodes really stood out to me. I will then just finish up the episode and talk about a little bit about what I liked and disliked. Spoiler alert, there's probably nothing really that I disliked. I'm going to have to be pulling at feathers here to try and find some other stuff that just to throw something in that category. And finally, I will just be giving my 2 ratings. One, and let me explain why 2 ratings. So I have this system where I have basically like a heart rating, and that's more based on my feelings towards the drama. So that's completely biased. So whether I loved a drama so much that, you know, I will probably rate it higher. Whereas then on the other hand, I've got like my head rating, and that's taking into account things such as story pacing and cinematography and acting. And that's like more, no pun intended, a level-headed rating, something that's, a little bit more critical of the drama as a whole. So finishing up, I will just talk a little bit about who I would recommend this drama to. And to tie it all together, I've got a little surprise at the end of the episode, so make sure to stick around for that. The first half, when I talk about synopsis and characters, should be pretty much spoiler-free. So listen to this if you want to decide more if you want to try the drama or not. However, the second half, be warned, I am going to spoil the heck out of this drama. So if you don't like spoilers and you still haven't watched it, just keep away from the second half, go and watch the drama, and then come back and fangirl with me, or fanboy with me, about the drama. So let's start this thing. I think it may be a wild one. I have lots to talk about. I may get very rambly, but I think that's probably just how I am in general. I talk a lot when I get excited, so maybe that'll work, maybe that won't, but we shall see. Let's start with the synopsis. So basically, Love Between Fairy and Devil is a 2022 36-episode xianxia drama. Now, xianxia is basically what us in the West would equate to fantasy. Don't worry, there's definitely an episode coming up on these terms soon because there's others to add in there. And although they might be similar, there is definitely differences between them, and you'll probably hear them coming up in various bits and places all over Chinese drama land. So basically its original network is iQIYI, where I watched it. However, it's also available on Viki. The drama tells a story. Now, it has to be one of the hardest names for me to pronounce, but we'll go with it. The drama tells the story of Dong Fang Ching Chong, played by Wang Hedi, who is also known as Dylan Wang. So, fun fact, a lot of Chinese actors and actresses will have a English name. Now, I tend to most of the time use their Chinese name just because I want to practice it, and that's the name that I've sort of grown accustomed to. But I will try to mention both of them throughout, at least once in my episodes. So basically, he plays the feared supreme moon lord of the demon clan. His power is beyond anyone's fathom as he wields the power of hellfire, which has only been mastered by the first ever ruler of the Moon Clan. So basically only one other person has mastered hellfire. He also has a large army which follows him into battle. However, he is tricked and trapped by the god of war, the woman Chidi, plunging the Moon Clan into chaos and causing 100,000 soldiers to be trapped with him. 30,000 years later, the gods are reinforcing the barriers of the tower that holds him hostage. Through a mishap, our orchard fairy, Xiao La Hua, played by Yu Cixin, also known as Esther Yu, gets sucked into the tower and unwittingly places a soul curse on the Supreme Moon Lord, which now means not only that he can feel her emotions, but he is also tied to her in a physical manner. So that basically means that if she gets a cut or anything like that, he will also feel that on his body, and he will also get hurt. Due to certain circumstances, they also switch bodies for a little while, and chaos basically ensues. As they both become free of the tower but are now stuck together, a story of bringing a demon lord back to life and teaching him how to love emerges. But our little orchard is also not quite what she seems, and these two will have to go through a lot to be together. This story is an epic love story that shows that not even fate is set in stone, and not everyone is quite who they seem to be. Now, I know it sounds wild, but stick with me. I really need to get better at describing dramas. That is not my strong point. I didn't really want to just take the synopsis from my drama list simply because the synopses there sometimes are just crazy and nothing like the drama, so I tried my best. Hopefully you got the gist of what the drama is about. Lots happen, and it's really hard to basically sum it down to one single paragraph. So this drama was directed by Yu Zhang, who doesn't seem to actually have many other dramas which have aired. I could only find Young Blood, which I haven't watched. However, he did such a good job that I just loved how the camera moved. He knew where to place the camera to get the most impactful shots, and the camera work made for such beautiful scenes. I just loved it. So I'll definitely be checking him out and see what comes up from him next. He's got a couple of other dramas that seem to be in the works, so I'll definitely keep a look out. The scriptwriter for this drama is Bai Jinjin. She actually only seems to have this drama credited to her, but the story was really tight, and I was overly pleased with the drama as a whole, which really hasn't happened that much this year. I seem to be loving dramas in the first half, and then the second half just seemed to falter for me. So I was really, really pleased that this drama, it started at a good pace, and basically it just kept getting better and better and better. I kept thinking, though, that throughout this drama, it but it basically seemed similar to a drama that I watched before called The Legends. And lo and behold, once I actually looked into it, I found out that the author of the original work that the drama was based on is the same. So the author is called Zhu Lu Feixiang, and she has basically done she's written books such as The Legends and Love Between Fairy and Devil and The Blue Whisper. So that made me really excited because I have watched a couple of these adaptations from her books, and she does fantasy really, really well. So as I found this out, I got even more excited about the drama. Now, I just briefly want to talk about some of the characters and the actors that played them. And for this, I need to start with our male lead because, guys, I have become a fan of Wang Hedi through this drama. So he plays the male lead, the Supreme Moon Lord. And I'm just gonna call him Moon Lord throughout this because it's just easier for me. I am not even gonna try and attempt his name again of the character that he plays. I am going to admit right out of the bat, I did not have a good impression of him. I have watched him in a couple of other things, and I always thought he couldn't act. He always seemed so wooden on my screen. So I had a really bad impression of him. So going in, I thought, this is just going to be another drama, but I want to try it because ultimately I'm a lover of fantasy, and I really, really wanted to give this a chance. And I can admit when I am wrong, and I am completely wrong. This role has changed my mind so much. Not only can he act, but he does it so well. I cannot imagine anyone else playing Moon Lord but Wang Hedi. His minor expressions, the change in him as the drama goes on, I don't even know how to explain it, but you see it all on his face. And it starts off as, his character basically starts off as a very cold, he's expressionless, but as he grows throughout the drama, you just see this change in him, and it hits every single time. So basically, also, he had really big scenes that were emotion-driven scenes, and he did so well. I believed every single part of it, and not only did I believe it, I felt it, and that's so good. He was not... How can I put this? So basically, when I was watching him, he was not Wang Hedi on my screen. He was the Moon Lord, and that is such a special thing to see happening. To me, this is what a good drama does. It changes your point of perspective, and I love it when a drama does this. And so basically now I'm really looking forward to what Wang Hedi does next, and I'll definitely be checking it out. So our orchard, I'm just going to call it Orchard because that's easier on me, is played by Yu Su-shin. Again, I have always found her to be a very limited actress. It doesn't necessarily mean that's a bad thing. She's good at what she does. So she also has this like overly sweet voice, and in this drama it wasn't dubbed at all. So for the first couple of episodes, she's very overly sweet and very almost childish-like, and I know that's going to put a lot of people off, but you just got to stick with it. This drama is one of those that it rewards those people who stick around because it gives back tenfold. I definitely think of that. And I also think that actually, in the grand scheme of things, her very, very sweet voice, it works for her character and her story. So after an episode or two, it didn't really bother me that much at all. So I just grew accustomed to it. And also, I just loved seeing this character's journey. For me, a drama that has a full arc, a full character arc is so important, and this drama does it so well. The characters you see at the beginning are not the characters you see at the end, but in a good way. Not like, they're completely different people. They aren't. They've just grown, and I love that. And I also really, really have to give praise to both our main leads because obviously they switch bodies. And straight away when they switch bodies, their whole body language changes. And they did such a good job. And that was, I think it happens very, very quickly, either in the first or the second episode, I believe. And basically, you see it straight away. And that was a very much turning point for me. That was the point where I was like, oh my god, I need to stick with this drama because it's clearly going to get better. So finally, I just want to mention some other characters that I think are important. There's the second male lead who's called Chang Hang, the current god of war. So he's played by Zhang Linghe. Funnily enough, he was the reason I went into this drama for. I've enjoyed some of his dramas before, and I was really excited to see him again, and he doesn't disappoint. He did this character really good, and I really, really enjoyed his arc as well. Then we have Rong Hao, the pupil of the late god of war. He plays an immortal who, behind the scenes, is setting things up to bring back his Shifu, the late god of war, who sacrificed herself to imprison the Moon Lord. And basically, she has been reincarnated to Earth, but she basically suffers a terrible fate every single lifetime, and Rong Hao wants to break that. Her role does actually become more and more important as the story moves on, so we do come back to these two specific characters later on in the story. Okay. So that's most of the important characters and the setup. So now I will definitely start spoiling the heck out of this drama. So this is your warning. If you haven't watched it, go and watch it and come back later, because I just have lots to share. But definitely check the rest of the episode out. Hopefully it'll be a good one. So I enjoyed so many scenes that I had a little bit of a hard time basically just talking about a few. But I have basically split it, and I'm just going to go through some of my favourite scenes and some quotes that go along with the scenes. Now, basically, episode 1 to 8 is basically set up, but also Orchard has decided to hide the Moon Lord. And at this point, she doesn't actually know who he is. So she's just hiding him and taking care of him. And she knows he's a prisoner because obviously she got him out of there. But she doesn't see him as this big bad person because the name Moon Lord isn't attached to him yet. And he obviously can't leave her because he's been cursed. So they're kind of stuck together, and it's a very, very kind of like sweet time because they're just, learning each other, let's put it that way. And I think this was done really, really well because she doesn't know who he is. She doesn't hold that stigma of Moon Lord to him. So it allows her to see this other side of him that not really anyone before has. So I think it sets a really, really solid stance of where, a really good foundation for their relationship. For me, the first big scene that stands out the most comes in episode 9. It's a really packed episode. However, our Orchard is meant to take a test to show... I can't speak today. What's wrong with me? To show her true form. Basically, it's kind of like an evaluation to then allow them to grow to the next level of power, so to speak. But there's a little problem. Her true form cannot be revealed. It's kind of like hidden. And this is explained why later on. But the Heavenly Emperor doesn't like this. To be honest, this man doesn't like a lot. He is who he is, but he's not the greatest characters in this drama, let's put it that way. So he basically traps Orchard, and in the previous episode, she's actually sent Moon Lord away to keep him safe because they're now all searching for this escaped prisoner, and she doesn't want him to get caught, so she's sent him away. Obviously, he has never gone away, but he feels that she's in danger because she's basically trapped and they're punishing her, questioning her to basically try and figure out where he is. And when I tell you that this scene is a sight to behold, it is a sight to behold. He basically rushes into this, hall that they're questioning her in. And there's, thousands of people there. And he basically bursts in, hellfire, just burning everywhere, and gives off this vibe of who dares to hurt Orchard. And it's one of those scenes that it's pure alpha male. I mean, it's clearly pure alpha male. And, now I love a female lead that is really strong and can save herself as much as the next person. But sometimes these scenes just fit, and this scene just fits so well into this drama. So basically the only reason he doesn't bring Heaven down in that single moment is because she basically asks him not to. And, she just tells him, please, don't do this. And he doesn't. He takes her away, and now this is it. So because he's now taken away, she's now found out who he is. Not only that, but she's now basically a traitor to the heavenly realm. So she cannot go back, and she's stuck in this situation. And this, for me, when I was watching it, I love this scene so much. Like, the CGI in this scene is ridiculous. The hellfire looks so beautiful, and it's this thing that is meant to destroy, and yet they've made it look so, so, so beautiful. And then basically there's this shift in their relationship completely, because now she knows who he is. She knows how powerful he is. And it's kind of a funny twist of events, because all of a sudden she's slightly scared around him. Who wouldn't be? But she also knows who she's been hanging out and, you know, protecting for however long they've been hiding away. So I really, really love this scene. This scene, actually, I stumbled upon it. I think it was on TikTok or something like that. And now I love spoilers. I really don't mind them. So I came across it. And then I was like, oh my God, I need to watch this drama faster so I can, you know, get to this scene. And I sat down and I think I binged 7 episodes in a row just to get to this scene. And I did. And it didn't disappoint, because it is a beautiful, beautiful scene. So I also really, really loved that this scene just hits the fact that he saves her in a big flourish. And, you know, only stops because she asks. It actually mimics a scene much, much, much later on in the drama, I think episode 31, where he has actually, it's the other way around. He has become weak and she sacrifices herself for him. So she's basically the one saving him. And the power dynamic in this drama is done so well. Yes, he is superior in terms of actual power, but all she has to do is tell him, and he cannot do it because of the curse. So I think that gives it a different sort of level. It isn't like all in his court or all in her court. There is, like, you know, that somewhat of a balance there, you know, as much as, you know, fantasy drama can do balance. So I really, really loved the fact that, yes, she can tell him to do something, and if she means it in a certain way, because of the curse, he has to do it. But the show rarely actually uses this. It allows their relationship and love to grow really organically rather than it being forced. Although to some extent it is, because they're, you know, smushed together because of the curse. You know, it still allows the drama to grow really, really organically. Their relationship does grow really nicely, and I love that throughout the whole drama. So once this scene is over, Orchard is obviously now scared because she's been ripped from the only world she's ever known. And now she knows the person she's been hiding is also the Demon Lord. That changes things up a bit, but only for a moment. So the next scene is quite a funny one. Moon Lord basically has this, like, not blood brother that's, I don't want to call him a servant because that's not who he is. He's basically like his right-hand man and the person he, you know, ends up trusting the most. And his name is, oh God, I'm going to try, Shang Qiu. And basically his original form is a black dragon, and to get away from heaven and back to their, you know, to their realm, to the Moon Clan realm, basically Shang Qiu turns into a dragon and they'll ride him to, you know, I think it's said Kang Yan Sea, which is basically where the Moon Clan resides. And this moment, it made me laugh so much because there's this expression on Orchard's face. And while I was watching, I was sitting there and it reminded me of the Toto, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore. That's literally what passed my mind, because it's this face that she pulls of, she's scared because she's seeing a really, really, you know, huge black dragon for the first time. But then once they actually ride the dragon, you see that her face shifts from fear to joy and then to excitement. And this shows the audience one thing. Well, at least it showed me. Although she's scared, she still, like, somewhat trusts Moon Lord. And it's this trust that builds and builds into a beautiful, stable, strong bond. So the next couple of episodes, we see the other side of the Moon Clan through Orchard's eyes. And I just loved this because it really does humanize the Moon Clan. Now, we all think, when we think of a demon, we immediately probably think of something evil, but in the grand scheme of Chinese dramas, that's never quite the case. A demon doesn't necessarily mean it's evil at all. So I really loved that they chose to show us the Moon Clan through Orchard's eyes, because she is genuinely such a sweet and compassionate person that, it really does humanize and show the other side of this supposed demon clan. And you see how devastated their clan has been, and how having Moon Lord back is actually really needed to keep that clan in check without all the infighting. But also, this whole arc serves to teach not only Orchard but us as the audience how human the Moon Clan is, and also how war has devastated them. That's what war does. It brings, devastation with it, and it brings hate. And I think that was really well shown, and that was really well done in this drama. I found the Moon Clan of women. There's this one scene, and I can't quite remember. I tried to recall, and I tried to go back on the episodes, but I can't quite remember what episode it is. But it's basically a clan. So the Moon Clan, is the overall clan, but then you've got little clans within that clan. It's a little bit confusing, but it's not such a big deal that you need to know all about it. But basically, there's this one clan out in the woods that is just women, and Orchard and Moon Lord basically stumble across them to find shelter there for the night. And she asks, why is there no men? Why is it just women? And it's really sad. So all the men have basically gone to war. They're part of the 100,000 soldiers that are still stuck. So they've lost their, sons, they've lost their fathers, they've lost their brothers. And it's really sad. And there's this scene where they're basically mourning for those lost souls, or those trapped souls. And I think it was such a hauntingly beautiful scene to watch, and you can see it in Orchard's face that it is sad, and she sits with that sadness. And this is one of those moments where you see this slight micro expression on Moon Lord's face, and Wang Hedi just played it so well, because in theory, he shouldn't be able to feel any of this, but he does, because that's his people. That's the people who he's sworn to protect. And yet, they are still trapped. So I think that scene really does bring it back quite nicely to, one of the big points of this drama, which is these trapped soldiers and these souls that they just want to bring home. So the next arc is actually even more of a painful one for our Moon Lord, but it's so key for him, and it's where Wang Hedi really gives it his all. This arc, he's shown so bright. I mean, not necessarily because it was dark, it was a dark arc, but you know what I mean. So when he was young, it was discovered that he could handle hellfire. Now, to be able to dominate hellfire, you have to be devoid of all emotions. Not only so, he is basically put in this chamber, and his emotions are removed from him. Not only is this done, but this is done by his father, and then he is actually forced, in a sense, to kill his father. And as this happens, his emotional core, which is actually shown as this beautiful tree, freezes over. It's a dead tree, and it's just frozen. And there's snow and ice, and it's just, frozen. Orchard really wants to bring this back to life. Now, she's, an orchard spirit. So her affinity is to plants, and she wants to bring this, his tree, his feeling tree, back to life. And in an attempt to do so, she basically takes all of these enhancing pills for emotions, which creates... It's not a funny scene, because realistically speaking, it could get him in quite a lot of trouble. He's basically in a cabinet meeting and he goes from, laughing 1 minute to uncontrollably crying the next. And basically, that could... So if anyone in the Moon Tribe at this point senses any weakness in him, they will go in and they will attack, because that's just how it's been. They've been without their, de facto, their leader for 30,000 years. So there's been a lot of infighting, and he's trying really hard. Well, he's trying to get everyone back in line, and all he does is his mere presence will do that. But he has this certain air about him, and this certain, how to put it, well, he's their leader, and end of. He immunes this fear from him. And by doing this, she, could really, really mess things up. And she doesn't think that through. So that makes him really, really angry. And in the next couple of scenes, Orchard finds out she can take Moonlord to see his father, Spirit, one last time. And she thinks this is really, really the thing that he needs to heal his soul. Not just his soul, but, the deepest core of himself. He needs to see his father. She thinks there's something more to the story. She doesn't believe that his father hated him, and she believes there's something there. So she really, really wants to take him there. But obviously he doesn't want that. He wants nothing to do with this. So she decides to go anyways. And sensing that she's in trouble, he obviously follows because he's linked to her. That's just, how it is at the moment. And a really, really painful but really, really necessary scene follows. And it opens up Moonlord's emotion tree. And I tell you, this scene, it broke my heart, because to that day, Moonlord never thought that his father loved him. He thought he was unwanted, and he thought he had to be a certain way. He, didn't want to feel. And then there's this one line where his father basically says, "You need to kill my spirit right now so that you can freeze it over again." And he says, "No, I would rather be stuck with the pain of having killed my own father than not feel anything at all." And that scene and that line shows how far he has come already, because before, he didn't know what love was. He didn't know what any of these emotions. And obviously love isn't the first emotion that comes to him. Anger, sadness, those are the first emotions that really, really hit him, because his father took him away. So I think it's a really good starting point that his father is the one that makes him feel so intensely. And I just loved how this was done. Wong Hadi, he just nailed it. He killed this scene. And actually, I was watching some of the behind the scenes, and even after the director yelled cut, he could not shake off his character. He was giving so much, and he was so in that scene and in that moment that he was stuck in that, that moment, that scene. And it really did make for such, a beautiful scene. And I think, actually, whereas it really does show to me, Moonlord is, really powerful. And he's got lots of power, and he knows how to guide things, how to control things. But Orchard is so mature in her emotions, and I think that sometimes that is just as important in having power, because being able to read someone and being able to feel something deeply and, understanding someone's feelings, I think that's just as important as, you know, being mature in other ways. So I really, really do think that they complement and understand each other so well. And this is like the basis of their relationship, is that they fit each other really, really, really well. So I think one of my next favourite scenes, I think it comes either in episode 17 or 18. I tried to go back and basically write down, but I'm pretty sure it's around that mark. And Orchard has known for a while that she isn't an Orchard fairy at all. So she is basically having an identity crisis of sorts. She is pulling herself to extremes to basically try to reveal her true form, because she just wants to know who she is. And she traps herself in a freezing cave. And obviously Moon Lord, they're still connected at this point, and Moon Lord rushes in. And at this point, I think there's obviously already love there. They just don't know quite that's what it is. So he rushes to her side, and their conversation here is such an impactful one. I really, really loved it. So I wrote it down and I'm just going to read it. So Orchard basically asks, "Moon Supreme, please tell me what I am." And he replies to her, "I don't care what you are. I only know you're not a nameless grass. You are the most important person, the person I care the most in the 3 realms. No one can take you away from me. From now on, you must stay with me and be with me forever." Now, realistically speaking, something like this in real life is stalkerish, and you gotta run away from it. However, in the concept of epic love fantasy dramas, it works. And in this specific case, it works because he doesn't quite understand love yet. So he knows he has these intense emotions for her, and he just wants her to be around him all the time. And he's always been used to having what he wants because he's a powerful demon lord, you know. So his interpretation of feelings and whatever is this right now, is that she just needs to be by his side, and that's it, and that's how it's going to be. So I think, you know, for someone who basically just had his feelings tree completely frozen off a couple of episodes ago, he still doesn't know what love is. So it does come across as like really, really stalkerish, but I think it's the start. It's basically the start of him feeling love. And I think I know because I've watched the whole drama, it develops and it blossoms into something else, because love can come first, but there's other emotions that need to come along. There's compassion, there's understanding. All of that will lead to a strong, steady love. And the love he's on right now is like a baby obsession, which isn't healthy for anyone. So, but I thought this was a really, really important scene as well. He sees Orchard like no one has ever seen her, and that basically scares her, because to her at this point she is still a heavenly fairy and he is the Moon Lord. She still wants to escape and basically go back to heaven, but she does care for him now, and that really, really scares her because her 2 worlds are colliding. She can't be a heavenly fairy and be with him. That just won't work, and nobody will accept that. So I think this was a really, really key, important scene for both of them. And I really, really liked how it was done. It was done in this like cold cave, and he just put his arm around her and they had this little conversation, which wasn't little in the grand scheme of things, I don't think. So basically, the next arc in the drama is the Earth realm arc, where they basically go down to Earth, and this is where the previous god of war as well as Ronghau's story really comes into focus, and how that ties in to everyone else. My favorite part of this arc is how serious and yet light it is. It's handled really, really well. How two enemies, such as the Moon Lord and the current god of war, Chang Hang, now known as Xiao Ran, a god of war, basically going through his mortal trial as punishment, become true friends. And I think it's the development of this friendship that's really, really key in the Earthrealm arc. And I think it's one of the biggest things to take away from it. And I really, really loved it because once they took away, at least one part, because obviously Moon Lord still remembers everything, but Xiao Ran doesn't. Right now, he is Xiao Ran. He's not the god of war. He's not the enemy of Moon Lord. And once that's taken away, the two of them just click. And they just become, great friends on Xiao Ran's half. Probably not so much on Moon Lord's half. He's just like going along with it. But I think he really does appreciate, and he really does learn what friendship can be through this this part. And basically it also shows that it isn't only Orchard that connects them. Chang Hang is obviously in love with her, but their bond from the mortal realm stays. It stays throughout the whole drama, and I loved that because even on opposite sides, there is this underlying current of them caring for each other. It might not be straightforward, and it might not always be, they're great friends. You can't say that, but there is this underlying current of them caring for each other, and I really, really, really like that. I also really, really like that when they come back to the heavenly realm, Chang Hang keeps his moral compass. At this point, Orchard is completely in love with our Moon Lord, and she explains very well to Chang Hang that she admires him, but she's not in love with him. She loves Demon Lord. I love this scene because so often our female leads are not clear about their feelings, and it leads to unnecessary drama. Just things that aren't needed, but she is so clear. She tells him straight out, I'm sorry, I don't see you in that way. I am in love with Moon Lord. And Chang Hang, although he's hurt, he accepts her choice and he walks away. He literally leaves her with Moon Lord. And that's something we barely even see in modern day dramas. Like, for a second male lead to basically just accept it and walk away, it's not something that is seen, in all dramas. And there's such good communication here. I know it's a fantasy drama, but their communication is really, really good. There's mutual respect and understanding, and I love to see it. I just do, because whenever somebody understands something, it's being communicated to them. Some dramas, they'll say, I don't love you. And for some reason in their head, that means they do. And they still try and, find ways around it. And I really dislike when that's the case. But in this drama, they communicate something, but there's also understanding back. And it's a fantasy drama. It doesn't necessarily need to be these things, but it is, and I think that works so well, and it's made me love this drama so much more. And this actually comes through in episode 27, and throughout the scene again, we see how far characters have come. So Moon Lord is standing some space away, and you see his jealousy. Like, you see he wants to walk over to Orchard and Chang Hang as they're talking, but he doesn't. He lets them talk it out, and he shows that he's choosing to trust Orchard. Like, at this point, he knows he loves her, and he's not quite sure if she feels the same way, but he chooses to trust her. And I really, really loved about that scene and that specific part. But so that's episode 27, but there is one scene in episode 26 that I have to mention, because so basically we've already established that Moon Lord can wield Hellfire because he has no emotions. But his tree is no longer frozen, so now he does feel. And it means that his Hellfire, well, it ain't firing up anymore. So basically, he's become a lot weaker because, let's face it, he fell for Orchard and he fell hard, and it just leaves him weaker because he doesn't have his fire, and he basically injures himself in the Earth realm. And Orchard does everything to save him, and this includes giving him some of her blood, which we discover at this point that it can bring people back from death. At this point, we now know that actually her true form and her true identity is that she is goddess of Shilon, a clan which remained neutral because it's a healing clan. And basically Moon Lord comes back and asks her why she saved him. She basically can't explain it. She can't explain why. But he knows why. At this point, and, you know, this is one of those scenes where we see their growth again, because he has learned in motion. He knows what he sees there, and Orchard has given herself to her love. So basically they kiss here, and it's such a passionate, sweet kiss, and I really loved this scene. Of course, it gets interrupted, and, you know, I burst out laughing because 1 minute they have this heart to heart, and then they kiss, and then they get interrupted, and Orchard just spits out the line of, "Oh my god, I want to jump in the river," and it's like, no, it just cracked me up. But basically it also works to do something else, because it dispels the tension of the last few episodes that we've been feeling. And this is what this drama does so well, and I loved it throughout. It uses angst and tension, but it sticks it on a line where it's just enough to keep you, you know, feeling the angst, but not enough that you're gonna have a heart attack, basically. So it breaks it up into these like digestible chunks for viewers, and it keeps you hooked on every single episode and makes me love it even more, because I don't mind angst, but I need a counterbalance to that angst. Like, I need a little break somewhere, and this drama does this really, really well. The script writer did such a good job in that sense of pacing. So now we get to the big one, because episode 28, my notes are short, and this is a direct quote from those notes, and all I wrote was the whole damn freaking episode, all in caps locks. So episode 28 to me is perfection in every way. Like, it is one of my favorite, even after watching the drama as a whole, it is one of my favorite episodes of the whole drama. Orchard basically asks for respect for her decision to take punishment. So she knows that Moon Lord earned his spot, and she knows that to stand next to him as Moon Queen and to be respected by those who are to become her people, she knows she too must earn this. Her line is simple: "What I want is your respect for my choice. There's no hierarchy between a couple." While watching this, all I can think and scream at the TV is, say it louder for those in the back. This scene, this drama seriously went there. Like, this is where all power imbalance, it just completely fades away. And you truly see Orchard through and through, her growth and how her emotional intelligence is leagues above everyone else. She wants to earn her right to be Moon Queen, and Moon Lord respects her decision. He stands back and he lets her do it. And I think this scene just shows just exactly what their love and their relationship is. Actually, the punishment is horrible, but once she is out, Moon Lord is right there to catch her, and you simply see the clan bow and greet their new queen. She earned her spot. No one can doubt she is the Moon Queen. I truly, truly cannot explain to you guys how much I love this episode. This mutual respect makes this relationship, it's so tangible. It's a fantasy drama, but this love, this respect is so real. It shines through my screen. Also, we can appreciate that in the previous episode, our Moon Lord also took a punishment because basically in the Moon Clan, not just in the Moon Clan, but everywhere, inter-race marriage is forbidden. So basically a fairy from heaven can't marry somebody from the Moon Clan. It's forbidden. And his clan does not want Orchard as queen. His speech that he does is so good as well. This drama in general, it just has really, really good lines and good monologues. I could have literally written all of them down, but a line that sticks out to me that basically Moon Lord says is, she's the bravest woman within the 3 realms and the only woman I will marry. It's such a strong, it sends a clear, direct message. This is who I want to marry and nobody's going to change that. And it's, 28 episodes ago, he didn't know what love is. He didn't know what emotion was. And now here he is basically standing up and saying, it's either her or nobody else. I will marry no one else. So needless to say, I will be rewatching episode 28 many other times because I love it that much. My next scene that I want to mention comes up in episode 31. This episode is the reverse of episode 9 to me. Whereas in episode 9, Moon Lord saved Orchard. Here, it's our little Orchard sacrificing herself not only for Moon Lord, but for both the Moon Clan and Heavenly Clan. Because she is the bridge between these 2 worlds. Once again, our main actors bring this raw pain to the screen. And I just can't help but be sucked into it. I was right there through this death scene. And yes, Orchard dies. But guys, this is Xianxia. It ain't a true Xianxia until one of the main leads dies and comes back to life. That's what I stick with. And I will stand by this. I have not watched a single Chinese fantasy drama where at least one of the main leads dies at least once, but probably more than once, and then they come back because no one's ever really dead in fantasy drama land. So basically, then in episode 32, our Moon Lord has trapped himself in a dream world with a dream orchard. He's basically dying because he's sucking at his inner core power to keep this dream world going. But he still chooses to stay there. And the person who the show decides to bring out to rescue him is none other than Chang Hong, our second male lead. Again, he is proving that there is more to their friendship than meets the eye. And I don't know if you can call it a friendship because technically they're still enemies and technically the strongest connection they have is Orchard, but because I still choose to see their relationship as that, as a friendship. Friendships can take, very many different shapes and forms. And I think theirs is just a different shape and form to what we would normally classify as a friendship. So obviously he does need Moon Lord to bring back Orchard. But I think that if you strip away their responsibilities, there is definitely friendship underneath it all. And I really, really loved that about it. So basically, once the dream world is destroyed, Moon Lord is losing Orchard all over again. And this quote really got me because basically Orchard is telling Moon Lord. See, I'm so deep in this drama that apparently I'm right there. So basically Moon Lord is, the world is dissipating around them and Orchard tells him, if you save me, I will marry someone else. Will you watch me marry someone else? And he very simply says to her, "No, Orchard, wait for me. I will save you." This scene, it took my heart and it broke it because it was so heart-achingly beautiful. Like, I'm tearing up just thinking about it again, because there's this, basically, there's this moment where the whole world is collapsing. Literally, it's a dream world and it's falling to pieces. And he is watching her disintegrate between, his fingertips. And she is crying and screaming at him to not let her go. And there's nothing he can do because he knows this is the right choice. He knows this isn't real. And it's so sad, but so beautiful at the same time. And this drama does this a lot. It makes really, really sad scenes really, really beautiful. And I was here for it. I teared up so much in the second half of this drama. It's unbelievable. But it's pain that I don't mind. I don't mind. So I think, again, once we moved on to episode 33, it brings it back to the male between... Not the male. What is wrong with me? I get excited and this happens. Like, my mouth can't move to keep up with what my brain is thinking. So basically, our two male leads, their bond is really shown again. They have a common goal right now because basically they are working together to bring Orchard back. And the next couple of scenes in this episode. So basically what happened is Orchard left a little imprint of herself in the core of Moonlord, and they basically have to extract that, and that becomes a seed which will grow, and then with some cultivation, this seed will be able to take human form, and that human form will be Orchard. So basically the next couple of episodes is Moonlord taking care of Orchard's seed and nurturing it back into a plant. Here, once again, we see how much Moonlord has changed, how he is taking everything that Orchard taught him about plants and taking the uttermost care with her. Also, can we please take a minute to appreciate how utterly beautiful the shots of Wang Kedi taking care of the plant here were. The CGI was on point, and Wang Kedi himself was just so damn beautiful. I also love that Changhang has the trust in Moonlords to let him do this himself. Like, he knows he would never hurt Orchard. Then, finally, Orchard comes back, and she is no longer Orchard. She is now the goddess Shi Yun. And the simple words she throws at Moonlord of, "Who are you?" not only breaks Moonlord, but it breaks me right along with him. Because, of course, we had to have some sort of conflict to hold up for the last couple of episodes. But also, I think the key here is... At first, so the first couple of episodes, you see this stone cold face Moonlord. And now that's not the case anymore. The emotions are so clear on his face. They go from being overly joyed that Orchard is back to then the realization that that's not Orchard. She doesn't remember him. She doesn't remember their story. And it's so sad. It's, again, and I will keep saying this because this is just something that I will associate with this drama. It's beautifully sad, and in a good way. It'll end up being in a good way, but it is beautifully sad for that. For that part. And also, with that happening, I'm just thinking, oh, really? Amnesia trope? Please, 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 please don't go there. And this drama doesn't. It takes the amnesia trope and it takes it for a spin, but it throws it on his head. And I was so here for it. But I'm going to come back to that point later. Before that, there were a couple of other scenes that just blew me away, and I gotta talk about them. The first has to be how now Chang'e is engaged to the goddess. Moon Lord is trying really hard to Bring Orchard back, but he's having no luck. That's not Orchard, that's the goddess. And in a conversation between our two male leads, Moon Lord throws the line out at Chang'e, "You've got what you wanted, you get to marry her." And it's right in this scene that you do realize that is what Chang'e wanted. But it's here again that he shows what his character and his moral compass is and how steadfast of a character he is, because he replies, "This isn't how I wanted it. I hope Orchard can come back just like you." He never wanted to win in this way. Like, he would rather have Orchard back and have her happy with Moon Lord than have this completely different person here. I truly, truly, truly loved this scene, and it was such a pure moment. It's such a deep glimpse into Chang'e as a character, and it proves just how much of a decent person he is. So this scene, it's such a small moment, but it really, really does stand out to me. Now, let's move on to Rong Hao and his Shifu, his master, basically. Throughout the whole drama, Rong Hao has been trying to raise his master, the god of war, the Chidi, back from the dead. He's been using all sorts of ways, most of them not quite the most righteous ways, but but yet this drama has a way to make me feel sorry for his character. He's done horrible things, but I still feel sorry for him. He was a human at one point, and he was dying, and basically his master saved him. And that meant that, of course, he would risk anything for her. The scene in episode 35, where it all comes to a close, is so well done, because Rong Hao finally has what he wants, what he's always wanted. He knows that his master loves him too. She went against heaven in a certain way to save him. And even though she was warned that there could be huge ramifications for her down the line, she still stood firm, and she didn't regret her choice. She saved him. That showed him all he needed. His wish was, and had always been, like, he had the most simplest wish, which was to be with his master forever. And they will be in death. They die and are buried together. And although he is a baddie, I kind of find this ending kind of like poetic and suitable for them, because yes, he is horrible, and maybe he should have been punished a bit more, but realistically speaking, he wasn't necessarily a bad person. He always said he was human, and I like that, because at the end of the day, humans make mistakes, and that's what he did. So they were dealt really bad cards, and I really loved how they tied up this whole arc. Also, I have to talk about something else. Episode 34 delivers one of the best monologues that I had to write it down, and Wang Hedi pulls it off to perfection. So basically, in this scene, Moon Lord has accepted that Orchard isn't coming back. So he asks the goddess to go with him to the bridge where Orchard and Moon Lord were going to hang up their love locks and confess to each other, but never got to do so. What Moon Lord doesn't know, but at this point the audience does. So there's me sitting here, and this is brilliantly done because he doesn't know it, but we do. So we see the scene from a whole different perspective. Is that Orchard is still there, but to get rid of the god of evil, she must sacrifice herself. So she has chosen to let Moon Lord believe she is already gone. She simply asks, she's just an orchard plant. Why can't you forget her? And yes, this sounds silly, she's just an orchard plant, but, it makes sense in the scope of the drama. And his response It's a long one, but I had to write it down because it is one of my favorite speeches from the whole drama. And it shows exactly what Moon Lord has become. So he says, "You don't understand. You never will understand the feelings between us. In this world, people hate me, fear me, rely on me, and admire me. Only she's the one who loved me. She helped through the difficulties. She helped me recover my love. She would follow me even if she would stand against the world. And I am full of thorns. I will only make her sad. I am a jerk, but she is a fool. She knew I was so bad, but she made every excuse to forgive me and hold me tight, even if it hurt. I wanted her to know I am not that jerk anymore. I will love and protect her and not let her suffer anymore, but there is no longer a chance." This whole scene brought tears to my eyes. Are you getting the feeling I cry a lot? Look, I cry at happy endings, I cry at sad endings, but this scene, it really, really tore at my heartstrings. The music, the setting, the acting, the directing. My God, this was a masterful scene to me. And Wang Hedi, as well as Yu Su-shin, delivered completely. Because you know that he is obviously telling all of this to Orchard, yet she can only turn her back and cry silently. Because right now she's the goddess and that's how it needs to be. And it's so sad. But again, I will say it. I've said it many times throughout this episode. It is a beautifully, heart-achingly scene. And it will remain one of my favourite scenes for a long time to come. We also need to mention something else here. Well, I need to mention it because I'm the one talking, but you get what I mean. Yu Su-shin played her part. I loved the fact that they pulled a fake amnesia trick on us, and you could not tell at all that was Orchard until the story and the character wanted us to know. It was such good acting on Yu Su-shin's part. I really, really loved it. So I'll just quickly run through my last couple of favourite scenes because this episode's getting long, but look, I knew it was going to be a long one from the start. So I have to talk about how the evil spirit takes over our Moon Lord. That white hair. Well, Wang Hedi rocked it. He looked great. Then we just have basically two dummies trying to save each other because by this point, our Moon Lord knows it's Orchard and he's ready to sacrifice himself. The last battle was good enough as the last big front. Is it cheesy that love trumps all? Of course it is, but look, I'm still here for it. I really am. In amidst the fire, Orchard gets to Moon Lord. So basically, Moon Lord is now, he's been overtaken by the evil spirit and he's causing chaos. And Orchard is just basically trying to get to him. And she finally does. And they kiss. And from this love, from deep within his soul, comes glazed fire. Now, if hellfire is basically you are completely devoid of emotion, glazed fire is the complete opposite. This is the ultimate fire. It's the fire of compassion, because ultimately that's what this drama is about. It's the full circle, the awakening of emotion that happens for almost every character. The scenery is absolutely beautiful. Like, this scene takes the cake. The scene is beautiful, but once again, our lovers say goodbye. What did I tell you? It isn't a xianxia until they die a couple of times. So basically, the beauty of the kiss within the fire really does eclipse everything else in this scene. But Yu Su-shin did such a beautiful job with her portrayal of emotion here. And it's just full circle. You've gone from a Moon Lord who feels nothing to a Moon Lord who has reached glazed fire, the fire of compassion and love. And yes, of course it's cheesy that love trumps all, but you know what? I love it. I'm here for it. I really, really loved it. That's the direction they went in. ultimately, I felt like I got closure from everyone's story. The drama went back in and checked in our characters and where they were 500 years later. And I happily followed along with the characters that I had fallen in love with for over 36 episodes. The last shot of this drama is perfect. Moon Lord is reborn and he is smiling. He's learned to fully smile right at our orchard, who is right back where they started at Arbiter Hall. It ended exactly where it started, with a kiss, but this time there's love and happiness there. And I just felt like it was such a fitting ending to them. It started with them and it finished with them. And I was just happy overall. Like, I was so satisfied. I was really, going into the last 2 episodes, I was really, really worried that they were going to screw the drama up, because I felt like there was a lot for them to go through, but they did it justice and it worked so well. So I was really, really happy. So just some final points from me of things that I really liked. One of the things I really have to mention is the relationships in general, whether that be our main couple or the relationship between our male leads or the relationship between Rong Hao and Chang Hang. They were all done so well. They all had their closure in some way or another, and I love that. I love that they went back in and checked in with those characters. I think this is one of the main reasons I love this drama so much. It's because it made me care so deeply, not only for the main couple, but for the surrounding characters. Like, I cared what happened to them. So that's one point I really, really loved. Another one, it has to be the sets. I mean, they were so beautiful. The CGI also was done so well. So basically the set for Arbiter Hall, which is where at the beginning our orchard lives, was used over and over again. But it was modified for each time someone else took occupants there. And it made it feel unique to that person and that specific time of the drama. And I loved that use. It was basically the same set, but it was different every single time. And I really, really loved that. I also have to give a shout out and a mention to the Moon Clan and the throne room. It was up there with one of my favorites. Like, I really, really loved that. And I looked at their behind the scenes, and actually they just built the throne bit and everything else was CGI. And I'm like, this is stunning and I am just here for it. It was so beautiful. Speaking of, the CGI of the pink cloud whale, and every time that showed up, I just loved it. That was really, really beautiful. The CGI in this drama was really pretty good. So just to quickly mention, if I were to be super, super, super critical of this drama, there's probably 1 or 2 things that I would pick up on that I didn't quite like. I think I've mentioned throughout, the episodes, the reasons why I loved this so much, this drama so much. I could go on, but, I think I'll just leave it there. But honestly, I really have only scratched the surface, and I think I need to be fair and mention 1 or 2 things that stood out to me that maybe I wasn't quite as happy with. But I am really, picking at little things. One of the things has to do with the ornaments that they used in the hair and on the clothes themselves. They looked somewhat plastic looking, and that was a little distracting to me at first, but honestly that just very quickly faded away, and it didn't bother me at all by the end, because I was so in love with this drama that I was like, I don't even care, let it be plastic. They invested in other areas like the CGI and the sets, so I was very happy there. So if I had to really pick anything else, it would be, I wish the Heavenly Emperor got some sort of penance, because he deserved at least that. But even saying that, those do not distract at all from the drama and my love from it at all. I just love this drama so much. So saying that, my heart rating for this drama is a 10 because even as I'm talking about it, I just want to go back and rewatch it all over again. And I never rewatch anything, but this drama will stay with me for a while. And I can see myself going back and just looking at like scenes and specific episodes again. I was basically chasing episodes. Like, this is a drama I ran to as soon as the new episodes were updated. So and also, one of the biggest things for this drama is that it basically taught me that maybe, just maybe, with the right guidance, actors I thought couldn't do it can not only act, but they can wow me and change my whole perspective. And that alone is not only a beautiful thing, but an amazing achievement for a drama to do. Now, if I was being realistic and rating with my head, I would probably go down to maybe an 8.5, taking points here and there for things such as the plastic-looking costumes. Even then, I would have to be picky. And in this case, the heart wins, because this drama really left an impact on me, and not many of dramas nowadays do. So it was satisfying from beginning to end, and that's even more rare. I would definitely recommend this drama to people who like fantasy or who like romance, or in general, just give it a go. You probably won't regret it because it really is that good. So basically, for another little surprise, just to finish up the whole episode, I wanted to grab some other people's thoughts. It's been a long look. I think I've been recording for an hour and a half now. My brain is gone crazy. But I've been watching this drama with quite a few people along on Discord, and we've just been, chatting about it all throughout. And I asked them if they could basically just give a final thoughts of their own. And I think it'd be really, really cool to have someone else's words as well on the podcast, because I know it's just me and it is, just my opinions. So I wanted you guys to hear from other people as well. Now, they've written me a little text which I will read out. So the first is from somebody who I've become friends with over on Discord, and her name's Arlene. Hi, Arlene. And basically, she very kindly sent me over a little message of what she thought of the drama, and she said, I started watching Love Between Fairy and Devil because of Wang Hedi. I usually check out his dramas because his first drama, Meteor Garden, was my first drama. That romance, in which he was the male lead, totally consumed me. It was a touchstone. There's my life before Meteor Garden and my life after. You all know what I mean. We all have that one gateway drama that led us down the rabbit hole of Asian drama watching. I never heard of Esther Yu. Why am I having such a hard time saying Esther? Esther? Sorry. Anyways, Esther Yu. From the little I saw in the trailers, I did not think either of them had the acting chops to pull off the body swap, and was pretty sure I was going to drop the drama fast. Instead, their acting during the body swap in episode 1 sold me. After that, I just continued to press play and become more entranced and captivated with each new episode. I'm so proud of Dylan Wang's performance. He's come a long way since Meteor Garden. He embodies his role as Supreme Moon Lord, and the emotions that emanate from him were deep and nuanced. I couldn't help but cry with and for him. I was totally drawn into watching the scary devil fall in love with his little fairy and see him being transformed by love. From the directing, writing, acting, CGI, costuming, choreography, and music, everything showed the quality and care put into the show. Story and plot and dialogue were carefully crafted with no unnecessary filter. Not being knowledgeable in Xianxia, Liliana guided my way in showing me, this drama had all the elements of a Xianxia creating a masterwork in that genre. For me personally, I feel it is a love story that is now a classic that will mass appeal for anyone who loves a great romance. And I totally agree with Arlene, because at the center of this great epic story, there is a romance. And somebody on Discord, and I'm really sorry, I can't remember who, they mentioned that this kind of felt like a retelling of like a darker, grittier Beauty and the Beast. And that is, to me, such a good description for it. It is, at its core, a love story. But it's so well told that you just completely fall in love with it. And I really, really loved Arlene's point of view, because she is a Dylan Wang fan. And basically, you know, her coming into it and being just as surprised as me, who wasn't, you know, a fan of his, shows how important this role will be for him. I think it will be, you know, one of those keystone roles that just shoots him into, you know, another platform. And I really, really hope it works really well for him. The same, you know, same goes for SCU. I think they just worked really, really well. And the whole drama just, it's so strange, because the actors themselves have mentioned that they had a really hard time getting sponsorships for the drama. Like, nobody really believed in them. And they came out at a time where really strong Chinese dramas with a lot of pull are already being aired. And basically, they pulled ahead of those dramas. And I was so happy for them, because it is a drama that, at its core, Xianxia has become a really saturated, same, you know, repeat and rinse stories. Now, for me, I love Xianxia dramas. I love I cannot say that word. I love how, you know, familiar it is to me, because I've watched so many of them. And that's a me thing. Not everybody likes that. But this drama, it took the tropes and it changed them. It made them more special. So I really, really hope that this is the drama that basically shakes the Xianxia genre as a whole. I really, really do. So I was really happy that it, you know, it did as well as it did. And thank you, Arlene, for your comments. And I asked somebody else, so over in Discord as well, I asked her if I could use her final thoughts. She wrote down some final thoughts. So this is from Petty Sushi Eater, and she basically wrote, I love this social... What is wrong with me? I'm sorry, guys. Seriously. Right, let me start that again. I love this show so much. I love it when a show makes me fangirl, because it takes a lot to get me there. I didn't cry, but I got teary-eyed, partially because I know I'll have a drama hangover all day. I love when a show is about how love conquers all, and it gets me to really believe that. Yes, I wished for two things that didn't happen. The Heaven Emperor to get impaled on a spike. Oh, I feel you. I totally feel you. But that's kind of counter to the whole love message. And just a tiny bit more of a happily ever time at the end. Though I agree that they were basically a couple from the moment they met, and I can live with that ending, since everyone was just waiting for him to come back. I also loved the pacing, and only wished for a tiny bit more breathing room around when she decided to stay with him and needed to learn music together. So basically, that's her little like final thoughts. And I do totally agree. I really, really wish that something was done about the Emperor. But like Petty Sushi Eater said, as a whole, the drama is about love, and that would have gone against their message. And even Rong Hao, who was, you know, a character who had done really evil things, he still got, you know, an end. Yes, he died, but it was a dignified end, and he still ended up with his master. So I think that the message of love of this drama will stand the test of time. I'm really actually looking forward to, I really don't rewatch dramas. It isn't really my thing, but I hope that sometime in the future I can rewatch this, and that will tell me if this drama is as good as I think now is, if it stands the test of time. And when I rewatch it, if I love it as much as I do right now, while I've been, ranting about it, not ranting is the wrong word, while I've been, just basically loving on it for the last hour and a half, if I still have those same feelings when I rewatch it down the line, that's how I know that a drama will stay with me. And that's how I know a drama belongs in like my top dramas. Not many have made it there, but I really do think this is one that will. And so I just wanted to finish up. I have been living on Twitter because of this drama. And also, I just want to mention, so basically, I loved the fandom for this drama on Twitter. There was no arguing. There was just basically people loving on this show. And I love when that happens. It's that message again. The show is about love, and it seems like the fandom followed right in suit because everybody was just sharing love for it and enjoying it so much together. And it was such a beautiful thing to be a part of. And I came across a tweet on a tweet, obviously, on Twitter. And I actually asked the account if I could quote it on the podcast, and I got permission, and it's from a Twitter account, and it's at, I'm gonna butcher this, Hoyane, I think. And basically it says, like ecological succession, a forest fire might appear as destruction, but it promotes biodiversity and a healthy ecosystem. It symbolizes rebirth and renewal. Like Moonlord's hellfire and glazed fire, tools for destruction and compassion. And that, to me, just symbolizes this drama. There is always two sides to every single coin, and basically it's up to the wielder of that power to decide what to do with it. And the hellfire that was the vote of emotion turned into glazed fire, and that sums up this drama perfectly, because we started with no emotion and we ended with this epic love story, and I think it will go on for a long time. So I think I've rambled enough about this drama. I am so sorry, guys, that this episode is basically literally all over the place, but it's so fresh in my mind and I have so much energy around it that I could literally just keep talking about it, but I won't. I'm not even going to edit this episode. It's going to you as I've recorded it. So I hope that's okay. I promise my reviews down the line will be just as exciting, but with probably more structure, I hope. But, it is what it is. Sorry, excuse me. So I hope you guys do check this out, and please do come and chat to me, because I'm ready to chat about this drama. I've got the hugest drama hangover. Like, nothing is catching my attention, so I don't know what I'm gonna do. But I think that's it, guys. I really do hope you've enjoyed this episode and that I could shed some light on this beautiful, beautiful drama. Please do go and check it out. Has been another episode of the Tea and Soju Asian Drama Podcast. I'm your host, Liliana, and you can come and chat to me on Instagram at Tea and Soju Pod, all one word, and on Twitter, Tea_Soju_pod. You can also find a great community at the Asian Drama Watchers Discord server, where cool people gather and talk everything Asian drama. I'll leave everything linked in the description notes. See you next time for more Asian drama chatter.